Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. World of Instagram, you set up a chat and here we are. We've never spoken, I don't think ever, outside of Instagram, and here we are. How about that?
There we are.
That's what I love about the premise of the podcast, is that we literally just, connecting with people that we've never spoken to. And this is one of the things, honestly, that I have been trying to challenge myself to do forever, is to communicate more and more with new people. I guess I've always kind of grown up very what you would call introverted, and in the last year or so, through my weight loss journey, honestly, it's really been a journey of becoming a better person and becoming more adventurous and becoming, just trying to do more things. And this has opened up new things, like meeting cool people like yourself. So this is awesome.
Well, I agree with you there. You definitely meet a lot of new people and people that you would never think you would ever, run into it.
I know.
Cool people.
And while we're on the topic of Instagram, I will definitely get into your story, because you've got an amazing one to share. But how did you get it? I mean, obviously we all kind of probably, or at least most of us, we get on Instagram just for fun, starting out, right? You hear about this app, you download it, you start posting pictures of your food, your dog, your kids, whatever you got, right? Or your car or whatever. And along the line, we discover the weight loss journey. So maybe start with how you kind of got started on Instagram. Was it something where like it was a personal account and then it turned into weight loss? Do you have, more than one where you can do a little bit of each? Or how did you get started in Instagram?
Yeah. So back in 2016 in July, one day I was at work and I was shooting, the shit with my coworker, and, I started my journey actually before I actually had my Instagram. My Instagram's pretty much just my weight loss journey, and that's just it. But I started it because I was originally on YouTube.
Right.
And I, started making a few videos, and I think I did it for, 3 to 6 months. And then, I kept getting comments like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" I was like, "I don't have one." So then I was like, you know what? Let's set up, it's easier just to post a picture or a quick 10, 20-second video. And so then I kind of used my Instagram to do my YouTube videos to kind of promote them more. And then I ended up my computer breaking. So I kind of stopped making videos and just kind of been doing my Instagram weight loss journey.
Editing videos is really freaking difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Dude, I've been struggling for so long, trying to do YouTube consistently. It's one of the things that I've been kind of kicking myself in the ass over for so long. I got really excited when Instagram TV came out, and then I kind of entered this creative slump for like a month, and all my motivation just went absolutely out the window. But now I feel better now, and I'm trying to get back on it. But I was always, kind of noticing how hard it was to really make YouTube like a big priority, because I see how many creators jump on YouTube and they become successful. I mean, they post regularly, and at some point something clicks. They find whatever their niche is, and they find their crowd, and it just becomes this really cool thing. I like to get stuck in these black holes of watching like unboxing videos and all this random stuff, on YouTube. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but I just never, between like doing this podcast, and I guess this is ultimately if I have to pick something that I really wanted to plant my flag down into the ground on, I think it's podcasting is really where I think my strength is. But I do believe that there is room for YouTube. I just have to find the time to edit, because I could tell you that doing just a couple of basic videos, like a one camera shoot, like, just talking for, I don't know, 5 minutes about one topic, even that, like trying to get the video exported into like an editor and color graded and add titles and all this.
Yeah.
It could be such a hassle.
Yeah, because you end up spending, and then you get to the times when you're at the gym and you're trying to set up, your camera to record, and then you look kind of like funny just sitting there recording, but then like now you got to get a different angle, so then you got to stop what you're doing and then you got to move it, and then it's like I just want to come in, do my workout, like it's a process. And then I started bringing in my camera and my phone to record, but it just got too much to have to find a position. And my gym, it was summertime, so then the gym started getting busy again. I'm like, it's a hassle, and then it'd take 2-3 hours to edit the video, and then one button you would accidentally delete the whole thing, or you would screw up something, or it was
let me ask you about that though, because I'm fascinated. So you were bringing in a camera at one point to the gym. So how does that work? I mean, I'm kind of past the point now where I really care like what other people think. Like if they think I'm weird putting up a camera, so what? But like, what is that like when you bring a camera and set it up? Is that like the people? Do they like give you looks, or like what is that like? Because I've not done that yet.
It's kind of a mix of both.
Okay.
There's some people that look at you where they're like, I don't want to be anywhere near you, but I want to use this machine.
Yeah.
Other times they're like, I've had people that, seen me setting up my camera because I had the grip, like the legs to hold on to the machine, because it was so hard just to, find an angle. And so I bought that. And people are like, oh, like, are you like an Instagrammer or like you a YouTuber? I was like, oh, and then, I would tell them about, my YouTube channel. And then, we'd start talking. They're like, oh, I've been trying to do that. So it's a little bit of mix, but it wasn't too bad. But once more people came, it was more harder to find a good angle and then keep your machine. And
yeah, I can imagine that's a real struggle.
Yeah, it definitely started to once it, summer's coming. People want to all rush to the gym to get fit for the summer.
Yeah, and I guess with January coming around, there'll definitely be an uptick in business. One of the things I tried, I experimented with this. I haven't really shared this on the podcast yet, but I actually experimented with cutting on my phone like Instagram Live, and like I would type a comment and pin it to the top and just say, hey, I'm working out and this is just a live looking at me working out. Feel free to say hi. I may be able to chat. I may not, but I just wanted to like open up this window into like working out in real time. And what I found, it was really interesting, is that, a lot of people would come in and they throw out a fist bump, or they would say, man, do a good job or whatever. And some people would like hang out and just watch for a while, and they'd comment like, go Gary, go Gary, go. And I was really fascinated by this. I'm like, this is kind of like it's new to me. I'm sure somebody has done it. Somebody somewhere has done it. But to me, it's kind of fascinating to like throw on the live button and just go. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah, and it's definitely, because then you get the people, like you just get so many positive feedbacks throughout it. Because I've done that with my Facebook, like my own personal Facebook, and like people are like, damn, like look at you go, like I couldn't even imagine even doing like one of those, and you're sitting there doing like 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah,
so it definitely helps you too. It pushes you through your workout.
Definitely. I'm thinking that I may do that more as we go along. Just set it up while I'm on the stairs, especially the stairs, because I don't know if you ever get this, like when you're doing cardio, like you ever get that thing where like you're trying not to, but you look at the clock, like you keep looking at the clock and then it just messes up with your mind.
Yep, and you feel like you've been on it for like 5 minutes, but it's only been like 2 minutes.
Oh my God, it drives me nuts.
I hate when that happens. You're like, man, I've been on this for so long. And you're like, you've already seen, a few people get on and off. You're like, oh yeah, I've at least hit 5 minutes. And you look, it's like 2. It's like, what the heck?
I actually I'm on your Instagram right now at Nikki's Journey 135, and there's a photo. I realized I hadn't liked this yet, so I just liked it. There's this photo you have. This is like the coolest photo. I never thought to do this, but like you've got this photo where I'm assuming you've taken an older picture of yourself and you've spliced in a current photo over top of it. This is freaking awesome. How did you do this?
A few apps. I downloaded
okay.
one where I could like delete the background, and then you got to lighten it, and then overlay them and try to get the heads to match up and the arms, everything to kind of match up, so people aren't like, oh, you just shrinked your size on your body, or you just zoomed in on the old picture or something. So it took a good minute. If you give me a before and after picture of you, I'll do one for you if you would like.
That's amazing. You know what I thought of? I thought of going back, because I have this one photo that I post. I don't want to say frequently, but it's one of the ones I go back to. It's a topless. I like to joke about this. I post topless photos on the internet, but no, it's a photo of me in a dressing room from like 2 years ago, and my belly is just poof. It's out there, and I always wanted to go back to that. It was like a JC Penney's at the mall. I want to go back there and try to recreate that photo. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely, because that's how I tried with my pictures. Like whenever I try showing like the loose skin pictures or like just a body update picture, I always try to be in the same general area, trying to get the same positions, so that everyone, because you always got the haters out there that are like, oh, you just cropped it, or you just edited it, or something stupid. It's like, no.
Yeah, there's always going to be somebody out there. Do you deal with that a lot on Instagram? The quote unquote trolls?
Surprisingly not. I get more of, oh, DM this person for a shout out, or we would love to shout you out. And then you message them. And they're like, oh, to get a shout out, it's $20. And I'm like, you commented on my post telling me you want to shout me out. It's like, how does I get those the most?
There is a way to turn that off.
Oh, I need to turn it off.
I'm going to share that with everybody right here. I guess it's more of a visual. I posted in my stories a couple times because I see it so often, and I want to help people because it drives me nuts. So if you go into your options and you scroll down to comment controls, then you go to allow comments from, you tap that, and then you select, and right now the default is set to everyone, but if you change it to people you follow and your followers, then only the people that you follow or the people that follow you are allowed to leave comments. So these crazy bots that are leaving those comments, they will actually have to follow your account. We're making these computers do one extra step in order to drop that comment. They have to follow you in order to do that. So everybody check that out. It'll save you a ton of time having to deal with these comments, because I'm with you. They are annoying. They drive me nuts, and it's a pain in the ass, quite frankly. So tell me about your journey. So I see here that you've lost over 120 pounds. So I have that right? Is that the latest?
I'm currently at 140 total loss.
140. You better update this Instagram bio, Nikki, because this is it says 120, 140. That is a major. I'm going to give you a virtual fist bump for that one. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
So how okay. We always have to go back to the beginning. This is how I think it really, where we really figure it all out. And that is, a lot of times I think everybody's got a moment or a picture they see or something that, gets in their head that says, okay, now it's time to do something. And before you answer that, I mean, was weight always a problem for you, like from childhood? Is this something that came on later in life? And then talk about whatever the moment was where you just, it's time to go.
Yeah. So I've always been like the bigger one out of my family. There was 13, not children, but there was like 13 of us cousins.
Right.
And, I've always been the biggest one, and I was, the middle child. Back in 2000 is probably the last time that I've, excuse me, been this light, which is the 194. It's been since literally 6th grade since I've been this small, and like, I don't know, I just always been bigger. I've always like snacking, and like I was motivated to do stuff. Just, eating wasn't my thing.
Sure.
I mean, eating was my thing, but not eating correctly.
Oh, I hear you. I'm right there with you.
But throughout this whole time, since high school, I was at like 220, 200. And then shortly after I graduated, I got pregnant with my son. He's now 7. And I started around like 220 to 240 when I first found out I was pregnant. And then when I delivered, I was at 375. So I was actually heavier than I was when I started this journey.
Right.
And then, I had him, I lost some weight. I got down to like 240, and then, things happened. And then I, bounced between 240 and 270. And then I was out at dinner with my mom, and I just got a new shirt, and I just felt like it looked good. But when I look, how when you feel like you look really good, but then you look in the mirror and it's like, this doesn't fit me how I thought it fit me. And
every day of my life.
It was one of those moments. And that's actually the picture I used the most, in the gray shirt in the bathroom picture.
Right.
So I took that picture. I didn't have a scale at the time, so, I didn't weigh myself. I just assumed I was around 270 because that's what I was at for a while. And then, I got a scale, and then I jumped on and said if I was over 300 pounds, I was joining a gym right then and there. And then, I jumped on the scale, and it said 335.
Right.
And I cried.
Yeah.
And then I went right to the gym, and then I signed up, for a year membership. And while signing up, I signed up for a 90-day challenge. I ended up doing the 90-day challenge. I think I lost like 45, 50 pounds, give or take. I'm not exactly sure because this was back in 2016.
Wow. Okay.
And I ended up coming in second in that competition.
Nice.
Yeah. So
kicking
now,
some ass.
2 years later, we're still doing it and still going.
No, that is so awesome. I'll circle back to something you said where we kind of have this idea in our minds where we think like one thing, but it's really another. It's so interesting how that works. It's like you put on something and you look down at yourself, like physically look down, and you're like, this is probably all right. And then you hit the mirror and it just hits you. It's so weird how that works. You would think that you would feel it, but you don't until you see it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I have it kind of backwards now that I'm getting, smaller, and I have, the loose skin and that. Like, when I look down now, I feel like I just have, I just feel like I have a gut.
Right.
But when I look in the mirror, everyone's like, well, you look in the mirror and it looks flat and not have this big gut that you look down and see. And people are like, you're so flat. How are you so flat? I'm like, I look down, I'm like, there's a gut right here. Like, how don't you see this? Like, it's backwards now, and it's such a torturous mind game.
I bet. How do you deal with that?
It's kind of a few things.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's one of the biggest ones. Like, I'll sit there and I'll be like, don't you see this? And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? What I see is a woman who's lost over 100 pounds that's freaking happy with herself.
Right.
Freaking, like, he just sits there and not yells at me, but like yells at me.
It's like, Nikki, you're a freaking warrior. You've lost over 140 pounds. Good God.
Yeah. But like, to me, like, you have that mindset where you look down at yourself and you just see your old self.
Yeah.
And it's like, you sit there and try to like fight your head, because with comparing pictures, you see like your old gut. And at the time you're like, oh, I look so good. But then you look back at the pictures and you're like, I wasn't that, you know what I mean? Like, you weren't as good. And
well, I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like there's a lot of people that feel that way. I mean, just for an example, I've lost around 100 pounds, a little over, maybe 105. And I feel like I still have those comparisons where, like, I feel like when I look in the mirror, I still see the old guy.
Yeah.
Because if there's a shirt, maybe it it
It
doesn't
just
fit.
lays wrong.
Yeah, it lays wrong, or because when we get in these journeys, we start drinking so much damn water. Maybe we've had so much water for the day, we feel a little bloated. And I mean, it's a battle every day, and I feel like people hearing this probably go through that all the time. And here you are, you've lost 140 freaking pounds, and you still go through this. So it's like this must be a normal thing that everybody goes through. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Just that right there.
It really is, because it's crazy though, because I'm finally within like the last 2 months out of the extra large stage, and now I can fit into large and a lot of medium, surprisingly. And I've never fit in a medium. Like when I was a kid, I was in the teenager size. When I was a teenager, I was in the adult size. When I was turning into an adult, I was always in the plus size. Like I've never been able to just go to Walmart and pick out like a large shirt and have it be big on me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But then you're like, you look at that clothes, you're like, there's no way that's going to fit me. I'm still big. And then you put it on. It's like, how does this fit?
No, you're totally right. For me, it was always going to I'm a big concert guy, and going to the shows and not having a shirt that would fit until going in this last year or so, and being able to walk up to the merch stand, and whether it's a 2X or an XL, because they all kind of fit a little differently, and being able to put them on and they fit comfortably. It's like, holy shit, because I used to wear a 5XL. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you got started, you did a challenge. How do you get to this point? Is it a lot of cardio? Is it a mix between cardio and weights? Like, how did you attack the plan? Because I think when we get started, we've got so many people in our ear, or we're a victim of scrolling through so much Instagram that we're looking at what this guy or this girl is doing, and we ultimately want to compare ourselves. So when you're getting started, what are you looking at to do? Was there something that you researched that took you one direction? Did you figure out on your own? How did you formulate a plan and stick with it?
It was kind of a mix of different things. Within the last almost 2.5 years, I've had 3 trainers. I had one for that 90-day challenge, and then I got one shortly after him. And they kind of helped me come up with a mix between cardio and strength training. They would have me, warm up 10, 15 minutes doing cardio, just, walking on the treadmill or doing the Stairmaster, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we would go do our little strength training. And then I would go back and do another 15, 20 minutes to end my day. So the beginning, because it's been kind of mixed up through the last 2.5 years, where it was cardio to warm up, and then I'd go into the weight training, and I would squat, I would deadlift.
Yeah.
And then I got my second trainer that I had. He taught me more about positioning versus how heavy, and more of the correct postures and that. So then I took more into closing how to, deadlift correctly and squat correctly, and to see how high I could get up to. And then I started, I was like, okay, I focused on lower body a lot. Let's, start doing an upper body. So then we started doing, higher upper body stuff, benching. So then I was kind of, doing more weights. And for my cardio, I would, go do 10 ball slams or 15 ball slams, and then do my core workout for like my warm up, and then go do strengths. But right now I'm doing about a 10, 15 minute warm up. And that's either on the Stairmaster or the elliptical, or, I put one of my songs on and I sit there and just jump rope for 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
And then I go do my weights.
Yeah. Do you have a preferred method of cardio? Do you prefer the stairs over the elliptical, or the elliptical over the stairs, or likewise, or?
It depends on what I'm doing, because I switch on and off.
Yeah.
So that my body doesn't, get used to doing the Stairmaster every day, or doing cardio or the elliptical. But I personally like jump roping currently right now.
Okay. Wow. That's that's something I don't think I probably tried it as a kid and then never tried it again, because I probably ended up slapping myself with the rope.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was. Back then that was the last time you did it was a kid, and you're like, I couldn't do that as an adult. And then you just try it one day, and I think my highest count of jumps was 109.
Holy
So try it
crap.
out one day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to try that. I think one of my other guests, Willie, he was big into, or he's big into jump roping. I'm pretty sure that we talked about that on our podcast a couple weeks ago, and I thought about it then, and now you're mentioning it. So now this is like more than one person that has brought it up, and now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to figure that out. Maybe that might be something just to try, just to spice it up a little bit. The other thing I was going to ask you about with your workout, it's like one of the things I noticed, like when I was doing weights, is that it seemed like so often they can get kind of boring or complacent. And how do you? I mean, is that even a problem for you, or how would you think to attack that? Because I like with the cardio, I always feel like, you know, you get in on the elliptical, you get in the stairs, you're kind of just, you keep going, you get that motivation to keep going. With the weights, it's like, all right, you do this amount of reps and you pause, and this amount of reps and pause. And for me personally, I feel like sometimes it just gets pretty boring and stale. And how do you, again, is that even a thing for you, or if it is, how do you get around that?
Yeah, so I switch it up kind of a lot.
Okay.
Like every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll switch up my routine. Currently, I'm kind of focusing on lower body. But for example, last week I was working on my squat again. What I'll do is, you know, I'll go up to the squat bar or bench, whatever I'm doing, and I'll do, you know, just the bar, which at the beginning I couldn't even squat the bar, I couldn't even bench the bar. And now I, you know, play with it for fun.
Yeah.
But I'll do, you know, 10 to 15 just to, you know, warm up my legs or whatever I'm doing. And then I'll add, say, 10 pounds onto each side. Or for my bench, I'll add a 5-pound weight on it, and I'll slowly add weight on it. And then once I feel I'm about to hit my max, I'll do like another 3 sets on it. And if I feel I can do one more set, or at least like say 2 squats with adding like 2.5 pounds on, I'll see how high I can get. And then I'll slowly start breaking it down by 10 pounds. And then it helps see how high you can go and get you going. I don't know. You just kind of get into a zone and you just go.
Yeah, definitely. How often are you working out at this point? Is it 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days? What?
I'm currently doing 5. I used to do 6, but I do 5 days. Sorry about my dog.
No worries.
About an hour to an hour and a half minimum.
Yeah.
My Fridays are kind of, you know, my full body. I don't have a time restriction on it, and I go anywhere from 2 to 4 hours.
Wow.
I just kind of go, and once my body's like, all right, I'm pretty much done, I'll do, you know, 10 more quick burpees, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a gym addiction.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'd rather have a gym addiction than my old food addiction.
I hear you. Food addiction, it was a big problem for me, big problem for many. What was your biggest weakness when it came to food when you had your addiction?
I didn't really have like a go-to food or anything. My thing was, if I thought I was hungry and say, you know, my boyfriend's like, oh, I'm going to the store real quick. Do you want anything? You know, I'll go with him, and we'll walk the aisles and just, you know, I'll grab a Pepsi, I'll grab a bag of chips, I'll grab some Reese's, and now we got like $20 worth of snacks, and me and him are splitting them. So, I mean, snacks are kind of my hardest.
Yeah, I think
it's bored eating.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like holy shit, I'm so bored. Let me just eat this entire bag of chips.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing that I heard around the time I started my journey is a way to tell the difference between bored eating and if your body, you know, is actually hungry is you ask yourself, can I eat an apple, or can I eat an orange? Can I eat a fruit? If I can, then I know I'm actually hungry.
Right.
And if I can't, then I'm like, no, this is just bored eating.
Right.
And then I find something else to occupy my mind.
And when you say, can I eat it, you mean, do I want to eat this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause if you can't eat an apple, like say right now you're hungry and it's like, oh, can I eat this apple? And if I can, then, you know, your mind tells you, okay, I am hungry because I want a good decision.
Right.
or I could eat a good decision if I'm actually hungry.
I don't know. I feel like my mind would just say, you're bored. Just eat the apple anyway.
See, I had that issue too,
Yeah.
but then it just gets to a point where I don't know if you've hit this point yet, but it took me probably about a good year and a half to hit this point. Is food eventually kind of disgusts you. Like certain things, I'll look at it or I'll eat it, and I'm like Kit Kats. I used to like Kit Kats so much. Like that was my favorite snack. If we Kit Kats and Reese's, and I used to just eat them the whole king size pack to myself.
Yep.
And now even if I have one, I'm like, this taste is so like fake. It's kind of gross. Like eventually you kind of hit that point.
I'm still waiting for that moment to come, by the way. It hasn't happened yet. I could tell you that soda is one thing I have not had a single craving for, and I've not had it in almost 2 years. I'm going on 2 years now.
Nice.
That, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and Wendy's, those were like the 5 things that I tried to, that I like when I started, I didn't really ban hardly anything because I didn't want to make it so it's like, you can't have this and then make my mind go crazy. But those are 5 things that I said, you're definitely, you're not having any of this. Like it's non-negotiable. Like if you want that cheeseburger, you better find like a different option, like maybe a turkey burger or, you know, whatever. But yeah, going on 2 years or just about 2 years without having any of those things. And I haven't had a single craving for it. So now if I could tell myself that with like things like ice cream and candy bars, which still creep up here and there, then I think I'll be,
I got a trick for that.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Okay. So I learned this at the beginning also. A way to help trick your mind so that your mind gets off of, because you know how when you sit there and tell yourself, no, don't eat this ice cream.
Right.
And all your mind is just sitting there, I want that ice cream. I want that ice cream. I want that ice cream. Well, if you sit there and tell yourself, I don't want it now, or I'm not going to have it now, I'll have it later. Your mind ends up getting distracted with whatever you're doing. If you're, cleaning the house, you'll go back to focus on what you need to focus on. And then eventually you forget about whatever you want because it's not sitting there nagging at your head. Oh, I want this. It's okay. I'll have some later. And then it helps for the most part, push it aside.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good advice. I could tell you that I had my biggest problem with the addiction was my commute home is like an hour plus. So I was stopping at these places just out of pure boredom and wanting to eat. So my combating to that was, I'm drinking water all day long, but at work we have this really awesome ice machine. So even if I don't feel like having water, I'll fill up a cup with all this ice and just eat the ice on the way home.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
That was a little life hack to get around it. But when you got started, what's that? Go ahead.
Or gum, just keeping your mouth occupied with chewing gum or just something, not terrible.
True that. Yeah, the gum and the gum is a good idea because I tend to like want to blow bubbles a lot and then pop them. So that's actually I need to go back into that. What I was going to say is like when you got started though, what kind of diet, I mean, did you get with your trainer and set something up or, like what did you set up for a diet?
Yeah. So, I tried to eat 5 at least clean days and then the weekends, even kind of still now the weekends are my cheat days.
Yeah, me too.
But what I would do was I would try, the meal prepping and I being a mom, it's just, I ended up forgetting to prep.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of slacking off that. But my trainer actually showed me an app called My Fitness Pal where you can scan the barcode of your food, enter in how much you eat, and it'll break down how many calories and how many proteins and how many macros and all that.
Right.
And he told me, if it goes right saying, oh, are you sure you want to eat this? This has, X amount of grams of sugar or salt in it. It would, flash red. And he said, if it flashes red, either eat half of that or don't eat that and find something else to eat. And as long as I stayed under my calories, he was happy. Right. But I was bad on my weekends. Every weekend we'd have pizza. And now I look at pizza and the grease just sits in my stomach and it's just, it's such a gross feeling now.
I hope to have that feeling for pizza one day where it's just so gross. That's one of the things that's still kind of eats at me still is the desire to have pizza, and I think that it's okay in moderation, and I've kind of
Yeah.
drawn back from it a little bit, but I think I need to pull back just a little bit more.
Yeah, the more you pull back on it, the more you pull back on it, and the more you put more cleaner foods in, the more it feels more gross to you. Like if I even try to eat like even a non-greasy pizza, I could just feel it sitting in my stomach, and it just that gross, like I don't even know how to put it feeling.
Right. So what kind of stuff are you having now? Like, do you have like certain things? Because like I think for me personally, I'm kind of like a picky eater in nature, so I tend to repeat a lot of things that I eat. What kind of stuff are do you have like on the regular that keeps you kind of in a good calorie number?
Yeah. So right now, because I'm also a picky eater, so I try new things, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But my main things I eat is just chicken, um, turkey meat,
Yeah.
and then tuna, like the little pre-packets, like the 90 or 100 calorie packets or whatever they are.
Right.
Those are my go-to. Like at work, I literally have a stash of like tuna in my locker because I know if I can just go to the store right there and grab chips or snacks, and it's like I keep my tuna at work, or I'll bring in a meal prep. We actually just had one of the Eat Right stores open pretty close to us, and on Fridays they have the $5 meal preps. So
Yeah.
I've been actually grabbing a few of those, and they're just pretty much like chicken wraps or tuna wraps, or they had steak in the one.
Right.
But mainly tuna chicken.
So that's kind of the main stuff that you're having.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with lettuce, and I sound like I'm such a clean eater, but
Right.
like I don't know. I try to. The last 2 weeks, I've been trying to stick really hard with clean eating.
Yeah.
Like strictly just I'm cutting out breads. So I'll have like a spinach wrap instead of that, or a lettuce wrap. And I'll put, my lettuce and a little bit of cheese on there, or a little bit of not salsa, sour cream.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing kind of the last 2 weeks, is strictly clean eating. Even on the weekends, I told my boyfriend, I said, if we go to the store, no snacks for me, no pop, because sometimes I'll have, a Pepsi on the weekend, but I was like, do not let me have anything. And that's how
Right.
I've stayed under, I've lost that 5 pounds and staying under 200 for the last 2 weeks.
I think wraps are the coolest things. I recently started kind of eliminating bread as much as I could. I think on the weekends it still trickles in a little bit, but during the week though, I have like a very small wrap. It's got like, ham or roast beef and some cheese or turkey or whatever. And those are really, I think, have been a great help to kind of get away from the bread. Or, one of the things I've found is if I want to eat out and have that feeling like I'm quote unquote cheating, I can go to like a Jimmy John's and get the lettuce wrap, where I'm still getting all that meat and the cheese and the mayonnaise, which I love all that stuff, but it's wrapped in a lettuce, and I don't feel nearly bad physically after I eat it.
Yeah, I agree completely. It definitely definitely helps out.
It's definitely, I think what it comes down to is finding these different, as I like to call them, hacks to trick your mind, or, get around it. Cause I think if you come out to yourself and you say, well, you cannot have this, I think, you
want it more.
You want it more, and it sets you up for failure, I think. I mean, look, there are going to be some people that can absolutely stick to it at times, but I think at one point we all have a point where we can't stick to it anymore. So I found that I think a lot of people in the Instagram circles like call it flexible dieting. I think when you allow certain things in, maybe you find like the healthier alternative. So instead of the bread, you put the wrap or the lettuce wrap. I think it helps out a lot, and that really has been something that's been key, because if I didn't do that stuff, I'd be in big trouble. I'd still be north of 300 some odd pounds easily.
Yeah, it's all about finding Because on Instagram and all that, you see all these people that, like, make these delicious looking meals, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
who realistically has time to make that? But when you find, like we both said, easy, simple, replacing, a regular tortilla or a bun with a lettuce, just like a piece of romaine lettuce, and just
Yeah.
wrap it around your burger or wrap it around your, chicken or whatever it is. Like, you just got to find things, and playing with food is one of the things that you got to do with the weight loss world. You got to find good alternatives, and it's hard. It definitely is. But once you kind of find it, even when you have like your cheat days, like, or your a cheat meal, or you get that feeling, oh, I shouldn't have ate that, like, I don't want to eat the rest of the day. Or people, a lot of people that I know will be like, oh, I had, like, say, ice cream or something. I had ice cream and cake and pizza, and then they're like, oh, I'm just going to continue having, a cheat day the whole day. And it's like, no, don't let it ruin your whole day. Just try to find a better rest of your day, because you always get that, oh, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow.
That's
And
so
it's like,
true.
it's the main thing is, just because you screw up once doesn't mean you got to screw up the rest of your day. You can still have a good day
Yeah,
with
it can always
eating
be, it can
bad.
always be turned around
Right.
at some point. But I think eating a lot of this bad stuff, it definitely messes with your mind, and it makes you feel bad. And it makes you feel like
Mm-hmm.
you're worse
You're
off than maybe
like
you are.
guilty. Like,
Yeah.
you feel guilty for eating it.
You feel like all your progress is thrown out the window for one day of
Mm-hmm.
bad eating. And I hate the way that makes people feel, because I think so many people, they're getting started, and they don't know how to process all these feelings, and they feel just terrible. They feel like, oh my god, it's all over, and
Right.
it's not. It's a bad day, and it's just how you process that bad day and how you keep moving forward. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you, along your journey, I think you said
Oh,
you
yeah.
what, about 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
you've had these ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
How do you
All the time.
how do you deal with the bad days? What's your remedy for the bad days?
Um, I'll sit there and I'll talk a bunch of shit about myself, and I get in all, like, people look at me and they're like, how, like, you've been doing it for so long, but it's like, even doing it so long, you still have your bad days. Like, I'll look at my arms and I'll be like, look at my freaking skin. Do you not see this? Like, I have wrinkles and pulls, and you just kind of tell yourself, it's just one of those days. I'll find something, to trick my mind to get it, I'll go for a car drive or something, or, my boyfriend, he'll do one of his quote unquote yells at me.
Right.
But then, I try to go to the gym, and, I'll at least just try to push through something. Or if I'm having a bad day in general and I'm just like, I can't do this, I just try and change my mindset. It's hard. It really is, though. Like, some days I've sat there and cried. Like, my first hardest day I had, I literally went to work, and I was sitting with my coworker, and I was sitting there crying, because I was like, people don't understand. Like, yeah, they're like, oh, you've lost already 30, 40 pounds. It's like, good for you. But to me, it's like, I don't feel like I've lost it. And
Right.
then you have like a mental kind of breakdown, and it's like, you kind of just got to tell yourself, you're going to do this. You're smaller. You're doing this for the better. It's not going to see change overnight. It's going to take time. But that's when I made one of my most actually popular YouTube video, where I kind of just went in a sports bra and, a short shorts. And I was like, listen, this is me. We have our days where we, have our breakdowns, and, you kind of just push through it. Talking it out with someone also helps out a lot, because you think you're the only one having that type of day or ever felt that way.
Yeah.
But everyone goes through it. And once you kind of see you're not alone in it, is when it kind of helps push you up.
No, that's true. That's definitely true. Finding, as I like to call it, finding your squad of people that, they're like-minded people. They're going through similar things. I think that's one of the things why I love the community so much. The Instagram community is just, everybody's going through similar things. It may not be the exact same thing, but we're all kind of going through different situations. And I think that when you find similar people and you surround yourself with these people, and we all share a lot. And I think sometimes people, they get afraid to share. They think, oh my God, these people are going to judge me. And really,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage people to share more if you can, because you never know who you're going to help with
Exactly.
sharing that, because these people are going through a lot of the same things. It's not like you're going into a room full of strangers who are all in the what you might deem to be the perfect weight, the perfect health, and you're saying, oh, I fucked up, I had a bad weekend. It's like you're talking to people that are right there in the
Mm-hmm.
trenches with you, fighting daily. And I really think that it's so important to share and communicate with others in a similar journey, because I think together we all lift each other up. It's like you and I jumping on this Skype call on a Monday night and just chatting it up. We've never talked before, but we all together come together in this community to lift each other up, and I think it's really a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful thing.
It is. I absolutely love it.
It's the best. Um, how do you deal with the you mentioned earlier the loose skin? How do you deal with that? Do you have, a ton of it? How do you mentally process that?
So that's actually my one. The skin's my worst in my eyes. To like my boyfriend and my mom, they don't see it as bad.
Right.
But to myself, that is one of my biggest worst thing. Like I could be having a good day, and I'll just go to change my shirt or change my outfit, and I'll just look down and I'll see the skin. Like it's not terrible, but to me, it's a lot worse
Yeah.
than it. You know what I mean? Like it's always worse to yourself, but I'll see it, and I'm just like, this is so disgusting. Like how can somebody want to give you a hug or give you like, it's not as bad as some people out there. Like, there's Fat Girl Fed Up. Like, my skin's not as bad as hers because she's lost a lot more than I have.
Right.
And she was also a lot bigger for a lot longer than I was.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that bad. Like, I just have, the one little roll. It's not little to me, but I got the roll on the bottom. My underarms, I have, the bat wings.
Right.
I used to hate being in tank tops. And like some days I get to a point where I'm like, I don't even, I just want to wear a short sleeve shirt, but then you put a short sleeve shirt on and, you just jiggle your arm and it just flops.
Yeah. Is
Or
that
it sucks.
well? I know you're doing a lot of strength training and weights. Is that something like, and I'm not really super knowledgeable on the loose skin. I'm still working on trying to get rid of what I have, and I notice that some of it's become a little bit loose as I go along.
Mm-hmm.
But like, is there a point where it can be fixed through the weights, or is it you're kind of just going to be stuck with it? I mean, I know some people are of the logic of, well, a lot of people with loose skin, they just did too much cardio, they didn't do enough weights, or like, so
Yeah.
what is there a fix to it that's not surgery?
For the most part, not really.
Right.
I mean, the skin can bounce back a little bit. Like if, say for instance, someone, their whole life was say 140, 150 pounds, and they went through something and gained 50, 60 pounds,
Right.
and then they lost it. Yeah, their skin will most likely bounce back because it was only stretched for so long. But like for me, I've been, for the last 8 years, I've been out of high school. This whole time, I bounced between 220 to 375, almost 400 pounds.
Right.
And my personal skin won't ever go back. It won't ever be tight without surgery. The only thing I can do, I mean, for women, there's not much, but for men, like Obese to Beast, he has loose skin,
Right.
but he's a male, so he can bulk up.
Mm-hmm.
For a female to go that bulky to hide the loose skin, it would be too much for me, to be honest.
Right.
But surgery, I think, is the only real option. And
Is that something that you thought about, or is that something
oh
that,
yeah,
okay.
I've definitely thought about it, but at the same time, it's like you're only given one body. It's like, do I really want to, go add scars to it? But at the same time, it's like I already have, like I'll lay in bed and I'll have a little pouch of skin right between my legs on both legs because, my thighs should be double the size.
Right.
And like when I sit, like TMI, but like the side of my ass, you can tell where I used to have more ass and more thicker thighs.
Right.
And it sucks. That's one of my most hardest things with it, especially with my gut. Like I'll go to pull up my pants and, just a little bit of, the skin and fat will come up the side. It's like, this just looks horrible. My boyfriend yells at me.
Well, I look at it from a different perspective, and that is I look at the loose skin like it's a battle scar. Like you fought so hard for what you wanted. I always say fight like hell for the life you want. You went in there and you put in the work day in and day out, and you achieved this incredible thing where you've lost 140 pounds. And I look at it like this is like a battle scar. Like you've got it. It's there. It's proof positive. If anybody wants to judge you for this loose skin, this is the point where you get up in their face and you say, you know what, F you, because I worked my ass off.
Yeah.
And I got to a point of where I'm happy and I'm healthy now. And if you want to judge me, to hell with you, because what you think isn't relevant. I think of it like it's this ultimate battle scar. It's something, until I guess it becomes a point where it's actually becomes a detriment to your health. I think, Lexi's talked about that where, she's in a lot of pain because of her loose skin, and everybody's going to be in a different situation. And I think it's a case by case. If you feel that you need to do it, the surgery, go for it. But I try to look at it from that perspective, and I always try to find the positive in everything that I can. And I know that you can't always find a positive for every single thing, but I try to find that, and I try to look at it from that positive perspective. So, when I look at my belly and I see that it's jiggling a little bit, I'm like, you know what? It used to be very firm because it used to be a lot bigger, and now it's a little bit smaller and it's jiggly a little bit, but that's okay because I've been working my ass off, and this is where I'm at now.
Yeah. See, that's how my boyfriend's mindset is too. And it's like, you have those days where you see that and feel that, but other days you're just, ugh.
What is your boyfriend's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Ben.
Ben is a smart guy. When you get done with this podcast, Nikki, I want you to listen very carefully. When you're done with this podcast, I want you to go over to your boyfriend and I want you to give him a big hug and say, Ben, you are absolutely correct. Normally, I know the women always say you guys are right, but I want you, when you're done, to go and give this man a hug and give him a kiss and say, I love you and you are right because I worked for this. I earned this and I'm continuing to work for this. And thank you for seeing what I don't always see. Because we are our own worst critic. My wife, she looks at me and says, you look great. Or my mother or whoever, they say, you look great. And we don't always see it. And
You're
we're
like,
so
where?
quick. Yeah. Where is this greatness? I've not seen this greatness. You're going to start putting it on milk carton. It's missing the greatness. I can't find this greatness anywhere.
So people look at you like you're crazy when you say people literally are like, how don't you see this? It's like at times you wish you're even like with your loose skin, when you were fat, it was at least filled.
Yes.
Now that you're not, like, it's not filled, it's like this kind of looks like a melted candle. Like whenever I would watch, the weight loss things on TV, I'm like, how don't these people, see that they look great compared to what they used to be? And they're like, I'd rather be fat than be small because I just feel like a melted candle. It's like, I never understood, but now that I'm actually pretty much there, I'm like, okay, now I understand 110% where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's hard to understand until you're in that position. And I know it's easy for a lot of people, look on the outside and say, I bet I know exactly what's going on. And chances are they have no freaking clue. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
So here's the kind of the next question, the big question. And you've been so gracious with your time. I appreciate it. What now that you've lost 140 pounds, like what's next? I mean, my God, you've lost 140 freaking pounds. This is huge. This is really an amazing accomplishment. What are some of your long-term goals going into the future? Do you still have in your mind more that you want to lose? Are you in maintain mode now? Like, where's your head at with all that?
Yeah. So it's kind of a mix of maintaining and still losing, because my end up goal by next summer. I want to be about 170.
Okay.
I just want to be between 160 and 175 at like the highest.
And where are you at right now currently?
Right now I'm at 195. So I only got 20 to 30 pounds to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. But throughout the last year, I've been, losing and maintaining so that, once I get to the end, I can figure out how I can actually eat when I'm not, trying to lose hard.
Right. Okay.
But I still have a few unfinished goals that I set for myself at the beginning, which my 3 goals were: I wanted to be able to do a push-up, I wanted to be able to do a pull-up without the assist on the machine, and then I wanted to do a handstand. My first one I did was, the headstand, and then I turned it into a handstand, and now I'm working to get into like a handstand round-off thing.
Right.
I can almost do a push-up. I can, almost go all the way down and almost touch my chest, but I can't push it back up yet. And then the pull-up, I still got, 80 pounds on the machine that I gotta get off.
Yeah.
But I just want to get down to, 160, 175-ish. And then I just kind of want to maintain it. I think if I don't get the skin surgery, either way, I want to see how kind of buff I can get myself, like how cut and, defined, since I've never seen myself in adult body, cut.
Sure.
And then I just kind of, want to maintain the weight.
You want to get strong enough to pick. You want to get strong enough to pick Ben up and body slam him, right? When he gets out of line, he bought too many Pepsis for the weekend. You're gonna body slam him now.
Well, see, he's like a small bean. He's just like 6'2", 6'3", and like 150 wet.
Yeah.
So he's pretty small as is, but he'll give me my rent for my money.
There you go. There you go. Well, look, I've had an absolute blast chatting with you here in this last hour. See, this is what happens. We get on here and it goes for an hour. So people listening, if you've got a journey to share, you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, let's do it. Get in my DMs, hit me up. But before you do that, I want you to go right now. Get on Nikki's Instagram page. Tell them where they can find you. Tell them your YouTube and your Instagram. Tell them where you want them to go. And let's get them over there.
Yeah. So they're actually the same. For my YouTube, it's Nikki's Journey 135.
Okay.
And then Instagram's also Nikki's Journey 135. And that's me.
Awesome. Any other final advice? This is one thing I like to do when we have somebody on that you've seen a lot of success. Let's pretend right now for a moment, and I guarantee you it's probably happening, but let's pretend just for a moment that somebody has clicked play on this podcast. This is the first week. Maybe it's even day 1 of their journey. They looked up weight loss on iTunes and somehow this podcast, I would be blessed if that happened every time somebody was looking for this. But somebody tuned in on this on their first time and they're listening to this, that you have lost 140 pounds. And they're saying, Nikki, what kind of advice would you give me? And you're speaking to that person right now. What is the advice you want to give somebody that's just getting started?
Yeah. So what I would tell them is, 1, take a picture of yourself with clothes on, a front, side, and a back picture.
Mm-hmm.
Also do, a shirtless, if you're, a female, wear a sports bra and some shorts. Take a before and after picture, because those will definitely motivate you when you're having those hard times. You go back and look at the pictures. If you have a picture of yourself where you're just like, ew, that's the grossest, ugliest, I look so fat in it, take that picture and put it on your fridge so that you can remind yourself you don't ever want to be that again.
Yeah.
You're gonna have hard times. Everybody's journey's different. You will hit plateaus, but don't let the plateaus scare you that you should stop or you should quit your journey. Just keep pushing through them, because the next 5-10 pounds are going to drop off instantly almost. And just, push through, set a goal and get to that goal. Like my goal was to get under 200 and, I'm finally there. So don't give up on your goals till you hit them.
Started from the bottom. Now we here, right?
Yeah.
I sum it up. I sum up success in 4 words, and I don't care if it's weight loss, starting a business, whatever. I sum it up in 4 words, and that's patience, consistency, hard work, and love yourself. And you, Nikki, are an absolute rock star. You've lost 140 pounds. Again, I'll throw the virtual fist bump to you. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast this week, sharing your story with the listeners of this show. And guys, go follow her, go check her out. And thanks again. We'll have to check in. I always tell people that come on the podcast, 6-8 months down the line, let's do another one. Let's check in and see where you're at. I hope you had a blast. It was a good time.
It was fun. Thank you.